It was to 17 a.m. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. Half asleep, I answered without looking. Dad, I'm getting married. The apartment is gone. I sold the car. I'm leaving now. Bye. Click. The line went dead. I froze. My heart stopped. My daughter, my only daughter, she didn't cry. She didn't explain. Just those words. I sat there in silence. Darkness filled the room, but my mind was racing. Asterisk, it was exactly to 17 a.m. when the phone rang. The sharp vibration echoed unnaturally. In the stillness of my bedroom, I squinted in the dark, confused, half awake. I thought maybe I was dreaming, but no. The screen was glowing. My daughter's name, Anna. A father always knows when something is wrong. That look on the screen, it pierced through me. I picked it up, still trying to shake off sleep. Anna? I said. There was a pause, a breath. Then her voice, calm to calm, not frightened, not cheerful, just distant. Dad, I'm getting married. I blinked. What? The apartment sold. The car too. I'm leaving now. I just wanted to tell you. Bye. Click. That was it. Just like that. My daughter was gone. No explanation. No warmth in her voice. No goodbye like she meant it. I stared at the screen. Call ended. I called back immediately. No response. Again. Disconnected. Again. Nothing. I sat there, frozen in the dark. My chest felt heavy. My hands cold. My mind spinning. Anna, my little girl, my only child. The same daughter who had dinner with me 4 nights ago. The same daughter who laughed at my terrible spaghetti. Who told me about a new client she was excited to pitch at work. No talk of marriage. No mention of selling her car. No goodbye hugs. No hint of leaving. Nothing. Just silence. Now, I stood up, tried to pace, tried to think. Was this a joke? Was she running away? Was she hurt? I opened our old messages. There were no clues. Just her last text from earlier that day. Hey Dad, don't forget your doctor appointment next week. Normal, warm, loving. So what happened between that text and that call? I threw on a jacket and headed to her apartment across town. The drive felt like a blur. Red lights, empty streets, heart racing louder than the engine. When I reached her building, the parking space was empty. Her old silver Corolla, gone. I buzzed her apartment. No answer. The security guard was half asleep. At the desk, I asked him if he'd seen her leave. He looked confused. Oh, her? Yeah. She had movers here this morning. Truck loaded everything up by noon. Noon. That means she'd been planning this for at least a day, maybe longer, and never said a word to me. I took the elevator up to her floor. Apartment 302. I had a key. She'd given it to me last year, in case of emergencies, she said. This was an emergency. I unlocked the door. What I saw crushed me. Nothing. The apartment was stripped bare. Not a painting, not a chair, not a memory left behind. Even the smell of her lavender candles was gone. She was always so organized. Everything had its place. But now, it was like she had never lived there, gone without a trace. I stood in the doorway, completely still. My eyes scanned the room, trying to absorb what had happened. That's when I saw it. A white envelope propped neatly on the kitchen counter. My name, Dad, written in her handwriting. I reached for it like it might disappear. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a note, short, rushed. Don't come looking for me. I've made my choice. I love him, Dad, even if you don't. I know this hurts you, but this is my life now. That's it. No signature, no forwarding address, no clue about where she went. Even if you don't, those four words cut deep. I never said I didn't approve of anyone. She never brought anyone home. She never even told me she had someone. There was no him in our conversations. Or maybe I missed it. Maybe I was too busy being her dad, trying to protect her, always asking questions, maybe too many. I slumped down on the floor right there in that empty apartment, a place that once had laughter, Sunday movie nights, spilled coffee, late night talks, now felt like a grave. I sat for hours. The sun started to rise, and still, I had no idea where my daughter had gone or why she left like this. All I knew was what she said. I'm getting married. The apartment is sold. The car too. By no details. No invitations. No warning. I called every contact in her phone. Friends, co-workers, even her boss. None of them knew. Some were shocked. Others thought she was on vacation. She told no one. It was like she had erased herself from her old life. Like she wanted to disappear. Like someone told her to vanish. Why? What could have made her do this? Love or fear? As I sat there, one thing became clear. This wasn't just a marriage announcement. It was a goodbye. A cold, calculated goodbye from a daughter I thought I knew. But maybe I didn't know her at all. Asterisk, the apartment was silent. Still, I stood there for what felt like hours, holding the note she had left behind, its words echoing in my mind like a slow, cold whisper. Don't come looking for me. I've made my choice. I love him, Dad. Even if you don't, even if I don't, who was she talking about? I racked my memory, trying to recall a name, a conversation, a hint, anything, but nothing came. There was never any him in our talks. Anna never mentioned dating anyone. If she had, she would have told me, wouldn't she? She always had. Or maybe I had stopped listening. Maybe she stopped trying to talk. In the days that followed, my life became consumed by one goal: find out who this man was. I started with her closest friends, Mia, Tara, and Celeste. They were shocked too. None of them had heard anything about a marriage, let alone that she'd sold her apartment and car. Mia said Anna had been distant for weeks, hard to reach. Her replies were short, mechanical, not like her usual self. She'd even backed out of a girl's trip to the lake last minute without explanation. Tara told me she suspected something was going on. Not bad, necessarily, just different. Anna wasn't herself anymore. One detail stood out. Celeste mentioned a man Anna had been texting a lot. She didn't know much, just that he was older and seemed to be helping Anna plan for the future. When I pressed further, Celeste admitted that Anna had once hinted at moving out of state, but she brushed it off at the time, thought it was just a fantasy, with no name to go on. I turned to the building security footage. The manager was reluctant at first, but after I explained the situation, he agreed to show me the past week's recordings. That's when I saw them, a moving truck, two men hauling furniture, and her standing next to a tall man in his 40s, grayish hair, tan skin, confident posture. He wasn't just helping, he was directing. I zoomed in on the timestamp, July 11th, 10:40 a.m., the exact time the guard had told me she left. My heart sank. Who was he? Why didn't she introduce us? Why the secrecy? I wrote down the license plate number from the truck. That small clue led me to a moving company, based just outside the city. When I called, they confirmed the order, a move scheduled under Anna's name. Destination, Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix. She'd never even been there. I immediately flew down that weekend, desperate for answers, but the trail wasn't easy to follow. The address listed with the movers led to a temporary rental unit, empty when I got there. Neighbors said the couple had only stayed for a night before leaving again. They said they were heading south. One woman talked about finding a house in the desert, something remote. Remote? The word chilled me. Back home, I dug deeper. I contacted a private investigator. Within a week, he had a name, Daniel R., 42 years old, twice divorced, real estate license expired, and once sued by a former client for fraud. That alone set alarm bells ringing in my head. But worse than that, his past was full of inconsistencies. Small towns, sudden moves, multiple aliases. He wasn't just a mystery. He was a shadow. The kind of man who knew how to disappear and how to take someone with him. I couldn't stop thinking about how Anna had met him, probably online, maybe through a real estate app or some freelance gig. She'd been working on projects lately, trying to earn extra money. It wouldn't be hard for a manipulative man like Daniel to charm her, make promises, paint dreams, show her a life she thought she wanted. That's when the guilt began to crush me. Had I pushed her away? Had I been too rigid, too protective? She must have known I wouldn't approve. That's why she never told me. That's why she left the way she did, like a thief in the night. But I wasn't angry. I was terrified. Because what if it wasn't love that pulled her away, but manipulation? What if she wasn't choosing freedom, but being led away, controlled, cut off from everything and everyone who cared about her? The more I uncovered about Daniel, the more afraid I became. He'd been involved with other women. 2 ex-partners claimed he was emotionally abusive, even controlling. One woman filed a restraining order, but later withdrew it and disappeared from records. And now, he had my daughter. I called her number daily, still disconnected. I emailed, no reply. Every night, I stared at that one note she left me. The words felt different now. Not a declaration of independence, but a cry muffled by fear. I couldn't sleep, couldn't work. Every hour was filled with what-ifs. What if she's in trouble? What if she wants to come back but can't? What if I never hear from her again? My home, once filled with her laughter and her messes, felt haunted. Every corner reminded me of her. Every framed photo felt like a fading ghost. What haunted me most was that I didn't even get to say goodbye. Just a late-night call, a rushed sentence, and silence. But I knew now, this wasn't over. I didn't care how far she went. I didn't care what he promised her. I would find her, because I'm her father. And I wasn't about to let my daughter vanish into the hands of a man I couldn't trust. Not without a fight. Asterisk the name I had scribbled into my notebook that night. Daniel R. started to haunt me, a name that meant nothing to me at first, but now represented everything I feared. It didn't take long for the private investigator to dig deeper. Daniel R., 42 years old, a former real estate agent, license revoked 3 years ago due to multiple complaints. According to the report, he'd been married twice. Both women had left quietly, suddenly, as if they couldn't leave fast enough. No kids, no stable address. The man lived like a ghost who always stayed one step ahead of anyone trying to find him. There were traces of him scattered across different states: Utah, Nevada, Arizona, Texas. A storage unit in Flagstaff, a P.O. box in San Antonio, but no real home, no roots. That, in itself, terrified me. How do you build a life with someone who doesn't stay anywhere long enough to plant one? I kept asking myself, how did my daughter fall for this man? The investigator found one more piece of information, a dating site account linked to Daniel. His profile painted him as successful, independent, adventurous. He promised a simple life away from the noise, a dream of finding a real connection and building something private and sacred. I could see how Anna, bright, sensitive, yearning for stability and affection, could fall into that trap, because that's what it was. A trap. Daniel had all the signs of a manipulator, not loud or violent, the quiet kind, the charming kind, the kind that listens, learns your weaknesses, then uses them to pull you in and make you believe he's the only one who understands you. That was Daniel. And now he had my daughter. Anna had always been strong-willed, but she had a tender heart. After her mother passed away when she was 13, something changed in her. She stopped talking about her feelings, started smiling less, working harder, trying to carry everything on her own. I tried to fill that space, be both parents, but I was never sure if I did enough. And now this man had found his way into her life, likely through that very wound. I remember the moment I saw them together on the building's footage. He wasn't holding her. He wasn't touching her at all, but the way he stood, just behind her, hands in his pockets, watching everyone work, made my stomach turn. He looked like he was in control, like he owned the moment, and she looked small next to him, quiet. Her posture wasn't her usual confident stride. It was hesitant, nervous. I kept replaying that footage, watching every subtle gesture, every glance, and every time. I found myself asking, was she running to something, or was she being pulled away from everything? The investigator followed Daniel's financial trail. He was careful. Cash withdrawals, prepaid debit cards, fake addresses, but there were still footprints. Recently, he'd bought the tickets under fake names on a small airline to Mexico, but no immigration record showed he'd left the country. It was a diversion. He wanted to make it look like they ran abroad, but I knew better. He didn't want to disappear. He wanted her to. There was one more disturbing discovery. A woman from Oregon, unnamed, her identity sealed due to legal protection, had filed a report 6 years ago. She claimed Daniel had emotionally isolated her from family, cut off her bank access, and used threats of abandonment to control her. She eventually escaped and refused to testify, fearing retaliation. The case was dismissed, and now my daughter was with that man. I felt sick. The guilt kept me awake at night. Had I pushed her into his arms by being too protective? Had I made her feel like she needed to hide her relationship from me? Was she angry at me? Or had Daniel made her afraid of me? The part that broke me most was that she trusted him enough to sell everything, her car, her apartment, even her name. There was no Anna on social media anymore. No trace of her old email. It was like she had scrubbed her identity clean to become someone else, someone he wanted her to be. And yet, deep down, I still clung to hope. Hope that she left the envelope on purpose. Hope that she wanted me to find out the truth. Hope that she hadn't forgotten who she really was. Because this man might have erased her past, but he didn't know her like I did. He didn't know how Anna used to cry during thunderstorms as a child and crawl into our bed holding her stuffed fox. He didn't know how she used to hum under her breath when she was nervous, especially during job interviews. He didn't know how she had once told me, "Dad, if a guy ever asks me to change who I am, promise you'll come get me." I remembered that moment like it happened yesterday. She was 16. We were watching a movie about a girl who ran off with the wrong man. At the time, we both laughed. Now, it felt like a warning I had failed to keep, but I wasn't going to fail again. Daniel might have her now, but I wasn't done searching. He could move across the country, change his name, vanish into deserts and small towns, but I would follow, because wherever he went, he took a part of my world with him. And I was going to bring her home. No matter what. Asterisk, it had been 3 weeks since the night my world shifted, since Anna vanished with nothing but a cryptic phone call and a goodbye that shattered every corner of my life. I had been chasing shadows ever since, digging into Daniel R's past, traveling across states, checking abandoned rentals, reading old police reports until I couldn't keep my eyes open. Every clue seemed to lead to another dead end. Every door I knocked on seemed to belong to someone who had seen them briefly just for a moment before they disappeared again. And then one morning, something changed. I went out to check the mailbox. I wasn't expecting anything, just bills and junk ads as usual. But there it was, a plain white envelope, no return address, no markings, no stamps, just a single postmark that said Tucson, AZ. My hand started shaking the second I saw my name scrawled on the front and hurried. Uneven handwriting. It was her handwriting. I would recognize it anywhere. I rushed inside and tore it open, nearly dropping it in my panic. Inside was a letter, to pages, folded once. No pictures, no signature, just words uneven, rushed, and laced with something I hadn't expected. Fear. Asterisk. Dad, I don't have long to write this. He doesn't know I'm sending it. Please don't try to find me. Please. Not yet. I think I made a mistake. I thought I was doing the right thing, but everything feels wrong now. I'm scared. He's not who I thought he was. He's different. Well, we're alone, controlling, quietly angry. Sometimes he doesn't talk for days, and then suddenly he explodes. He says I can't trust anyone but him, that everyone will turn against me if I leave. I don't know who I am anymore. I barely recognize myself. He sold my phone, deleted my accounts, told me I had to start fresh. I thought it was romantic at first. I thought I was escaping a boring life, but I think I was escaping into a cage. I want to come home, but I don't know how. I know you must hate me. I left like a coward. I was stubborn. I didn't listen. I should have told you the truth. Please forgive me, Dot, if you ever get this. Please know that I miss you. I think about you every night. Love, and asterisk asterisk, I must have read it 50 times before. I even moved. Each word crushed me. But it also sparked something inside me that had been dying hope. She was alive. She was reaching out. She wanted to come home, but she was trapped, afraid, isolated, and most horrifying of all, she was being controlled by a man who didn't let her use a phone, didn't let her speak freely, didn't even let her be herself. She was living a nightmare, and I hadn't been able to stop it. But now I had something I hadn't had before, a location. A single clue. Tucson. That letter could have been sent from anywhere in the city or even nearby towns. But it was a start. For the first time since she disappeared, I had a thread to pull. I immediately handed the letter to the investigator. He had contacts down there and started sweeping property records, abandoned listings, and recent cash-only rentals. Meanwhile, I flew to Arizona myself. I couldn't sit still anymore. I had to be where she was. I had to feel closer. I walked neighborhoods, visited cheap motels, talked to shopkeepers, showed them her photo. Most just shook their heads. But one woman at a small thrift store paused. She might have been in here last week, bought a sweater, looked tired, quiet. The man with her, controlling, didn't let her speak much, kept holding her arm. She didn't know where they went, but it was something. I checked shelters. I checked hospitals. I even left messages at churches, hoping someone might recognize her. Days passed, then a week, and then nothing. No second letter, no phone call, no sighting. It was like she had vanished all over again, but this time, I refused to see it as the end. I knew now that she was out there. That's somewhere in that vast desert, in some dimly lit apartment or rundown house. She was trying to hold on, trying to survive. That letter wasn't just a confession, it was a lifeline. It told me everything I needed to know. She hadn't abandoned me. She hadn't run from home. She had run into the arms of someone who broke her spirit and twisted her freedom into control. But she was fighting back. That letter proved it. She was still Anna, still my daughter, still brave, even in fear. And if she had the courage to send that message through the cracks of her prison, then I had the duty to break through the rest. I didn't care how long it took, didn't care how far she had gone. I was going to keep searching, keep following every shadow, keep chasing every whisper, because this wasn't over. That letter was the first crack in the wall, and I was going to break it down, brick by brick, until she came home. Asterisk, it's been over 3 years now. 3 long years since my phone rang in the middle of the night, since Anna's voice flat, emotionless, said those words I will never forget. I'm getting married. The apartment is sold. The car too. Bye. Every day since then has been a blur of silence, searching, and unanswered questions. Not a single day passes without me thinking about her. Where is she now? Is she safe? Did she ever make it back to herself? That one letter she sent from Tucson? It's still folded in my wallet, edges frayed from how often I take it out. Sometimes I don't even read it anymore, I just hold it, like a fragile thread that ties me to her. It's the only proof I have that she was trying to come back. That's somewhere beneath the manipulation, beneath the fear. She was still my daughter, but that letter was the last I ever heard from her. We tried everything. The investigator followed dozens of leads across Arizona and New Mexico. We even had a brief moment of hope when a store clerk in Santa Fe claimed she recognized Anna's picture, said she came in with a tall man who wouldn't let her speak. But the trail went cold within days. Daniel changed rental homes constantly, paid in cash, used aliases, no fingerprints, no paper trail. It was like chasing smoke through a forest of shadows. Every time we got close, he disappeared again. I started a website, a missing persons page. I posted her photos across forums, support groups. and online boards for domestic abuse survivors. I joined Facebook groups filled with families like my parents looking for daughters, brothers searching for sisters. The pain in those places is unspeakable, but we all share one thing, the waiting. We live in a kind of limbo, not knowing if we should grieve or hope. The police tried, at first, but without a confirmed crime, without evidence of abduction or physical harm, the case was labeled a voluntary disappearance. I could hear it in their tone. She's an adult. She made a choice. Let it go. But they didn't know Anna. They didn't know that her choice was carefully constructed, that it had been shaped by someone who slowly erased her sense of self, until the only voice she trusted was his. People sometimes ask me what if she really did want this? What if she's happy? And to that, I only say, happy people don't send desperate letters from secret post offices. Happy people don't cut off their entire identity and vanish from the world. That wasn't a life she chose. It was a life she was trapped in. And so I keep looking down. My home is still filled with her. Her books sit on the shelf like they're waiting to be opened again. Her bedroom is exactly the same, her favorite scarf draped over the desk chair. A Polaroid taped to the mirror from her 19th birthday. I dust it every Sunday, as if she might walk through the door any moment and smile like nothing ever happened. Some nights, I still wake up at 2:17 a.m. not from a phone call, but from the ache. The body remembers that kind of trauma. I lie there, in the dark, staring at the ceiling, wondering if she's awake too. If she's staring at her own ceiling, maybe somewhere far away, whispering my name under her breath. Mad. Sometimes I sit in my car and drive without direction, just turn the ignition and go. I pass through towns, diners, desert roads, looking into faces, scanning sidewalks, hoping that one day, somehow, I'll see her, maybe with shorter hair, maybe thinner, maybe older, but I'd know her. A father always knows. I once followed a girl into a grocery store because she looked like Anna from behind. Same walk, same tilt of the head. My heart was in my throat the entire time. She turned around, and it wasn't her. But I stood there anyway, because for those few seconds, I had felt something I hadn't in months. Hope. Hope is cruel like that. It keeps you going, but it never lets you rest. Our friends have told me to move on, that maybe she's never coming back. But I can't, because I remember what she was like before all this. I remember her as a child who wore glitter shoes to school and cried when her goldfish died. I remember her teenage years when we stayed up late watching crime documentaries and eating popcorn straight out of the bag. I remember her fierce spirit, her sharp laugh, the way she could walk into a room and fill it with warmth. And I remember her words soft, trembling from that final letter. I want to come home, but I don't know how. So until she does, I'll wait. I'll search. I'll follow every shadow, chase every lead, check every postmark, and listen to every silence, because in that silence, maybe one day, her voice will return. And when it does, I'll be here, no matter how long it takes, because I'm her father, and the search never ends. Asterisk.